Why don't the sizes of my folders add up to the size of my hard drive in Windows? I'm thinking of installing an SSD on my machine at home, and the easiest way to do this is basically to clone my current hard drive over to the new SSD. Trouble is, if I right-click on my current hard drive and select Properties, my used space is 230 GB, thus requiring me to buy a monster SSD. However, if I right-click on each of the top-level folders in my hard drive and select Properties, the total space used by those folders is only 140 GB. 100 GB of that is music and movies, which I can easily clean out before the move to the SSD. So here's the rub, where did the other 90 GB go? For the life of me, I can't figure it out. Shouldn't the sum of the used sizes of all the top-level folders in your C drive roughly equal the used size of the C drive itself?
Use Windiastat to see where your files are taking up space. This URL? It is free, lightweight, and there is no easier way to see your usage by directory.
There are hidden files and directories which contain system files that are not included in the calculation. System volume information, for example, contains your system restore points and volume shadow copies among other things. It is not included in the calculation because by default the ACL does not allow your user account to view the folder or its properties. You can gain access to it if you really want to, however. On another note, the cleangd.exe utility, better known as Disk Cleanup, can help you reclaim most of your disk space. The More Options tab allows you to delete all but the most recent restore points and volume shadow copies.
I recently had the same question, but I stumbled upon the answer. Symantec Norton was scheduled to periodically back up files by storing them on my hard drive. I found the folder containing the backed up files and discovered that these backed up files added more than 100 GB to the quantity of data stored on my hard drive. Because I frequently back up my modified files and folders onto removable hard drives, flash drives, etc., I do not need the Norton backup utility. I simply deleted the files and cancelled future Norton backups. The resulting increase in space on my hard drive was enormous.
Here's a comprehensive list of all the reasons I can think of why the use space in a hard drive may be greater than the sum of the file sizes. Op has already solved her problem, but the issue may remain for some lurkers. A file takes up more space on the disk than merely its size. For example, a text file that contains the letters hello has a file size of 5 bytes, but it also takes up space in the file systems table to store its name and properties. Usually the difference is not greater than a few hundred bytes, but if you have many tiny files, that can add up to quite a bit. You can see the difference by comparing size and size on disk numbers after opening the Properties dialog of a file in Windows File Explorer. You may be forgetting to check hidden files. Make sure you have Show Hidden Files, Folders and Drives enabled in Windows File Explorer options. You may be forgetting to check System Files. Make sure you have Hide Protected Operating System Files disabled. You may be forgetting to count the recycle bin, which is a special case of hidden system files. Contents indexing takes up space. If you open the Properties dialog for a partition, you can see the option, Allow files on this drive to have contents indexed in addition to file properties. This takes up space. I'm not quite sure where on the file system, previous versions, or shadow copies or file history, take up space. NTFS has the feature of shadow copies of files, which takes up space not counted in the plain file size. You may have enabled compression. This should theoretically cause the used disk space to be smaller than the sum of the file sizes, rather than bigger, but in any case, it's a spanner in the works. You can check by opening the Properties dialog of a partition in Windows File Explorer. Also, remember that you may have hidden partitions, or unallocated space on your hard disk where you could have a partition. Open Disk Management shipped with Windows to check this. If anything is missing, go ahead and edit my answer to make this as comprehensive as possible. I'm happy to make this a community wiki post.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.